Hey, it's Rick and Grant from the Brilyant Heathanz podcast. How
How
you
you guys
doing,
doing?
Grant?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. A lot of interesting things going on. And today's topic, we're going to talk about the Alec Baldwin case. So you want to jump in because I paid attention to it in the very beginning, but I kind of forgot a lot of what had happened. So
So it's interesting now. You know, looking back, it's a lot of things have come to mind since. So what's happened in the case is I think they either announced it yesterday or today. It might have been this morning. I think it was might have been this morning. I can't remember. But they announced that they are charging Alec Baldwin and the armorer on the set with involuntary manslaughter um, for the death of, I think, and forgive me, and if anyone from our family, God forbid, watches, forgive me, I don't remember the person's name that was killed. I want to say it's like Alina Hutchins or something like that. But accidental shooting on set. It appears as though the armorer, who was well regarded, they actually had tried to hire her mentor, but she had some work, and the mentor, I believe, was busy. I've followed this case closely when it all first happened, and I think he recommended her, they hired her, and then there's this accident where she brought live ammo on the set, which I mean that's a I think day one you learn you never bring live ammo on a set. So
I
I,
mean,
I don't.
didn't they say a while back? I think initially, like, weren't they practicing firing somewhere else around, or what?
You
Like,
might
so
be right. You might be right
yeah.
about that. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But still,
but
it's that's negligent at the very least.
right.
And then it goes to, and I don't know that this is. I think Hollywood hires armorers, but maybe there needs to be another check in place where somebody checks. I don't know what I don't know what the solution is because obviously, actors and stuff, they don't know what the hell a live round versus a squib round looks like, like a blank or a semi-munition round or anything. So they're not going to know if what's in the gun. One of the things that one of the reasons they're charging Alec Baldwin is they're saying that he should have checked the gun before he fired it, but yeah, he could look at a bullet and he wouldn't know whether it's live or blank. I wouldn't think, I don't think he's much
I
of a.
I
But
thought that he was pointing the gun at people, just joking around at the time, and it wasn't even. It almost sounded like to me like he was pointing the gun, if I remember correctly, back then, and he was like shooting at people like it was supposed to be all like fun and games, and then it
Yeah,
was live ammo.
I don't remember hearing any of that.
Okay.
I remember him. Everything I've read says that. But what's interesting, wh- I mean, I'll go into this second. So everything I've read said that he was handed a gun that he was told was cold. So you have hot guns and cold guns. So a gun that's cold means it's not live ammo. Like
Right.
so they were about to start filming a scene. So they were in the middle of setting up a scene. So it wasn't, I don't know about him pointing at anyone for fun because I think they were in the middle of shooting a scene. As a matter of fact, I think the assistant director also got shot by the same bullet. It went through the lady it killed and then hit. So I don't feel like, because initially everybody on set defended him as well, like said that he didn't do anything wrong. Um, so I don't know where that stands at this point, but I don't remember anything about playing around. That might be the case. I just don't remember reading that. But when they're given these guns and they're told that they're not live, I think that's what makes it really interesting for me. There are some people that think this is political. The local sheriff's department, or whoever, I think that's who has jurisdiction, but the local authorities felt like they had to charge someone. And there may also be some. I mean, Alec Baldwin has been an outspoken anti-gun person, and there's people that are saying that that this is a political prosecution. It's just really interesting because um, if they were filming a scene where he was supposed to be pointing the gun at whoever, um, and he was told it was a cold gun, I don't know um, how he could be charged. Like I think and there are people were saying the prosecution is basically they're going to end up having egg on their face for even bringing this case. Like it's I'm really curious to see. I truly believe in fair prosecution for everyone if they're really guilty. But in this case, I'm just like, and I'm not an Alec Baldwin fan. I'm not a fan of pretty any of the Baldwins. I think the
Right.
family's just full of drama. It's really, it just feels like they want to charge him with, or they want to charge someone. Um, and I think the charging of the armorer makes sense, but the actor, I'm having a hard time with that.
Do we know what his experience with guns are? If he
Probably not very much, but it was
probably
a
not very.
western. It was a western movie, that they were
Okay.
filming. But I mean, a lot of these guys don't have very much. A lot of people in action movies have no gun training whatsoever. And matter of fact, a lot of the movies are so bad I can't even watch them. Like
Right.
the action sequences, the gunplay and stuff, and the gun handling and just everything is obviously hand to hand combat. But just from my time when I used to train military people, like just the gun handling and the just the tactics and everything, it's so bad. Like it's just awful. So it's clear most of these people that do these action roles have no clue what they're doing.
Right.
So I don't think it's. I think the Keanu Reeves going out and learning three gun from shooting experts and or learning how to shoot and they're running three gun matches and doing same thing with Holly Berry and doing all these other things for these
Yeah.
roles. That's a rarity. That's not a commonplace thing.
Yeah, I was
And
actually going to bring Keanu up because he's really good, and like you
mhm.
said, Halle Berry really good.
But they went out and got some of the best training they could get and
Right.
dove into it. And I think they both dove into it. I think Keanu's been into it now for several years. I think Holly Berry before she filmed that movie did like a year's worth of training. Just like when she did an
Right.
MMA movie, she trained as an MMA fighter for like 6 months to a year. Um, and she still wasn't very good, but she like yeah, like some you have some people who do it with a method route where they dive right into the whatever they're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing. So and they get competent, if not good. And Keanu's gotten good. Um, but that's a rarity. That's not a common thing. So I don't even if Alec Baldwin's done other roles where he's held a gun, like I don't think he has any um
Actual training.
yeah, any real skill. And I think that was one of the things I saw in the that I read when the story broke that the charging authority said that he should have checked the gun before pointing it. And again, like even if he did, I don't know that he would know that it was a live round versus a blank round.
Right.
I don't know that he would necessarily know the difference. I mean, and again, maybe he would. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but it's just it's a very interesting case because I don't see how the prosecution wins against him. Again, I think the armorer is going to take a plea if she's smart, because I don't see how she could win the case because she just made unfortunately, a fatal error, a really,
Oh
really fatal
yeah.
error. But yeah, and it feels like, are they charging him because he's a celebrity? Are they charging him? All that being said, and again, because I don't want to make excuses for him, but I thinking back to when all this happened, what I find really, really, really interesting is I do feel like he thinks he did something wrong. And I say that because I don't know if you remember this. When all this first happened, the very first thing he said, he didn't say, he did. I mean, pretty quickly, he did say he was sorry that this person died. But I think even before he got to that, though, first thing he said in report, it said to the press was, "I don't know what happened. I didn't pull the trigger." And he kept sticking with the story that he never pulled the trigger. The gun just went off. And
Right.
if you go back, there was like a difference. Like every time anybody put a microphone in front of him, he just kept saying, "I didn't pull the trigger." Like he made a point to make
To
it
say
seem
that
like.
he. Yeah.
So I wonder if he knew that at some point somebody might come for it. Like I just, which makes me wonder if he did pull the trigger and he knew maybe he really was goofing off and he knew it. And he knew he messed up that one. I don't know. It makes you
So
wonder.
Do you remember do you remember that there was sort of like a conspiracy end behind this too, with the woman who got shot and some affiliations that she had?
No, no, I don't know anything about that. You gotta fill me in on that.
So I gotta I want to Google it real quick because I want to say it had, I don't remember, she had an affiliation with a politician. I'm actually, I want to, I'm trying to remember if it was the Clintons or if it was somebody. Let me see.
Make sure it's real. People
Yeah,
throw that
yeah,
stuff out, especially
because it
when
was,
it's the Clintons or Soros or something, and it's like none
yeah,
of it, like half the time, most of the time, like 90 some% of the time, those are never real. But if there was a connection, I'd be very curious.
yeah. I want to get her name and then see who. Okay, I won't charge manslaughter, field shooting, Western set, prosecutors, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because there were some crazy conspiracies. Here we go. Let's see.
You got, yeah, you gotta fill me in on this. I don't know anything about these.
Yeah, conspiracy. Let's see. Okay, that's what it was. Okay. She was supposedly working on a project documentary about Hollywood and a pedophile ring. That's what it was. And that came out right at the time when
I don't
this
buy
all
it.
happened.
I don't buy it. What's the
Yeah.
source? What's the source?
No, no, no. Well, this one, there's one that's saying that it wasn't true, but I'm
Yeah.
going back. Let me see if I can find it.
Anytime somebody dies, they immediately try to link it to some kind of Hollywood pedophile. Right. It's
Yes.
it's it's um it's sad and it's never true and
The
they
dispatch.com. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of fact checks, Snopes. Let's see. Trying to remember who
yeah, I'd love to see what
wrote
the
that.
original source. I'm sure the original source on that is probably like 4chan or
Patriot,
Reddit or
yeah,
something. Yeah,
patriots.win.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all like
Yeah.
the
That's not.
rap. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it
Well,
okay.
the rap. I mean, with the rap is a Hollywood rag. What do they say? It's usually not a conspiracy
Why
rag,
does
though.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood feature so many real life pedophile? Oh no, that's something different.
Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I because I remember that, and then I knew there was something weird about that whole thing. But I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know enough about it to say whether he should be charged. I absolutely think that I agree with you that the armor should be
The armor.
charged
Yeah.
with something
Yeah.
because I mean that's your job. Like if
Yeah.
that's your only
That's
job
your
at
only
all,
job.
you
Yeah.
really fucking suck at your job, and
Yeah.
sucking your job just killed somebody. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's more than getting
It's
fired.
like being an NFL kicker, and it's like and you miss your kicks, like you don't have a job. Like
Correct.
this is like you have one job. That's it. You don't have to do anything else, but make sure any weapons that come on the set aren't going to kill somebody.
Right.
That they look
That's like
authentic, but
that's
they're not
like
going to kill somebody.
that's like throwing a soldier in Iraq and giving him blanks. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
the polar
yeah,
like
yeah. It's
yeah.
yeah. I don't even. But again, even if I'm kind of torn. So even let's assume Baldwin was waving it around and joking around. There's some negligence there. But again, if he was told, and it seems like the prosecutors are backing this up, that he was told, according to what their investigation, that they heard this from multiple other people on the set, that it was a cold gun. I mean, and as far as he's concerned, the gun's no different than a paper one. Like it's again, you still never point at someone or something you don't want to shoot, but um, I still blame the armorer because there should never have been a live round anywhere near that gun.
Right.
Um, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. Maybe they get him for some kind of negligence, negligence of the what? I don't know. I don't know what the charges are, in that what the potential charges are in that state. But I don't see how they can get anything close to manslaughter or assault or I don't even know what else they. I don't know how they can get anything. Um, yeah, negligent
So,
homicide, involuntary. I don't know how they could get any of that against him.
I think I just lost you. Hold on one second here.
I can still hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, my headphones went off for a half second.
Okay.
Um, so it sounds like he was practicing drawing a gun on set of the film when the revolver fired, is what it says.
Right.
I
Hmm.
mean,
You know, I don't know what the I don't know what kind of gun they were using. Revolvers generally though tend to have pretty heavy triggers
yes. I
unless
mean,
he's
unless
unless he
you
already cocked the
cocked it,
hammer. Yeah.
right?
If he already had the hammer pulled back, then. But I mean maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what it was.
So,
And
so
maybe
it
it might
sounds
have
like he,
been.
he was he was practicing a cross draw. But to your point, I mean, if it's a weapon, it's a revolver most likely, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's a heavy pull. So unless he's cross drawing and like like I don't know, like doing I don't know.
I'm thinking, and maybe so there are some, and they probably do this in Hollywood, but there are some. Um, there are some tactical guns. They're not really tactical guns, but there are some guns that were originally tactical, or guns used by the military. They're now set up for speed pull, in the sense that they're so in most cases just little gun stuff. With a hammer fired gun, the first it's usually double action, right? Which means it's a
Yep.
double length of pull. It's a heavier pull. But once you get to the hammer coming down, they become single. So they're called double single. So if you want, you can carry it around with the hammer already pulled down, and you're in single action, which is a very short, quick, easy, light pull. Um, some of these guns are designed to only be single action, so the hammer's like automatically almost draws its like almost pulls
Right.
itself down. So maybe because these guys don't know how to do that and they're shooting a Western, they're supposed to look like they're quick draws. Maybe they had it set up where it's single action only and the hammer was already pre-cocked. Um, Maybe as he drew, a lot of these guys don't know to keep that finger outside
Yep. To the
the
side. Right.
trigger guard, right? So maybe he drew and dropped it in, and as he pulled it, maybe they're off to the side. I don't know where because they were. It was the I think she was like I think it was like the assistant director. And I forget what she was, but that's who got hit. It was those two. But maybe they were sitting next to each other off to the side. And as he pulled to go this way, he pulled the trigger. That's what
Right.
I'm thinking. Must have been something like that. And maybe he didn't realize or maybe he got caught in his clothing, you know, and he didn't realize it. But again, that's not a big deal if you don't have a live round. Um,
Right.
yeah, I still, no matter what, he may not honestly remember pulling the trigger. Like he may honestly not have not because those single actions sometimes are so lightweight. He might not have known he pulled the trigger, or again, it might have got caught up in his clothing. Um, I still think it goes back to the having the if you don't have a live round, it's not an issue. Like I still
Right.
think it goes back to that. Yeah, I don't know what else to. I don't know how else to look at it. Like I don't see how he has any guilt.
I well, I mean,
He didn't bring the
yeah,
weapon.
I think he has guilt just probably because it happened. Like
Oh,
to
absolutely. But in terms of
she
legal guilt,
legal right.
right,
Yeah.
right. And proper
I mean,
handling, sure. But how much had he been taught on how to handle that? Like it's like there's things you can charge him with, but then it comes down to I'm on a set as an actor and I don't have
right.
any training like in this and how to do these things. Like, so you can charge me with improper handling of a firearm. Okay. But again, like, it's not my personal firearm. I didn't
Right.
choose this firearm and I didn't load it. Like, somebody handed me a gun for a role that I'm playing in a movie. I could have shot myself. Like, those are the things I think his attorneys are already
Or
looking at.
working
Like,
on.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
I'm not at home playing with a gun in front of my family that's loaded,
Right,
you know.
right.
Right. That
Uh,
it's just sad in general, man.
it's very sad. Like I said, my heart breaks for her family. I can't even begin to imagine. And it's so senseless. It's so tragic and senseless. It's not like there was a robbery or a carjacking or just even a random workplace shooting or anything like that. There was no ill intent. Like, she wasn't killed by some kind of evil intended person.
Yeah.
Like, this was a complete accident. But oh, well, I think in some ways that makes it worse because at least if there's somebody who intended to kill her with, or was just a psychotic person, you can look at them and be angry and be like, you took this. But these two people, the armor, you can be angry at her because she really messed up, right? But in the case of Alec Baldwin, like him or not, like, this was a complete accident that he really had no control over, to be quite honest. Other than maybe he pressed the trigger um, by accident. He may have made a mistake in some way in this killing, but even that mistake probably was like the true definition of a mistake, like where he didn't even know what was going on. Um,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, man. It's really interesting. Um, there's and you might not be so. Just sticking with the court case, there's another one I'm really following. And you might not be familiar with it. It's there's this Instagram model. Her name is Courtney Clenney. She had a
Yeah.
pretty decent sized following. She had a long term, I want to say a couple of years they've been together, boyfriend who I think he was born and raised in America, but he was a black guy, but of African descent, had like a very African name. And I can't remember his name, but she stabbed him to death. Um,
Yes.
this was probably, I think this happened over the summer, and her trial is getting ready to come up. So there's been, some stuff that's come out, and um, like all these things that are coming. He recorded. They had a very abusive, toxic relationship. It turns out, like,
Yeah, I
um,
did a quick reading on it, and it sounds
yeah,
like they have her on video, like abusing him, and the only thing they
multiple
really said
times.
was, yeah, and the only thing that he did, I guess, that they said, and it wasn't even like he like pushed her
At some point,
away
he
to
pushed her
separate,
away. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that was the extent of what he did, but yeah,
As far as we
I mean, she
know,
was known to beat that,
right,
right.
right.
It
But
sounds like
she
she was more the
routinely,
aggressor.
yeah, she
Yes.
routinely yelled at him, bossed him around, cussed him out, called him the N word, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like, not the the hard R N word, like routinely, like
Gotcha.
it pretty commonly. Um, and just was as toxic and abusive and nasty as it gets. And she routinely hit him, and he always had like bruises and scratches and stuff on him, and nobody knows exactly what happened. Um, but he recorded. There's also things he recorded where I don't know if you saw this. She had beat him up, and she kind of was bragging about it, like in some kind of way, and he was telling her like, shut up, like, don't talk about hitting me, because she was threatening to hit him again, and she said something like, don't make me do this to you like I just did, like, an hour ago when we were in the room or whatever. He was kind of like, don't say that, but he had been recording it, like, but I mean, like,
Right.
so, but it's some they got in some kind of argument in the apartment. I think he recorded parts of it, and it seems like um she even threatened to kill him. Like, she clearly stabbed him. She's saying it was in self-defense, that he was
Correct.
attacking her. Um, but they found no evidence. Like, she didn't have any bruising on her hand, no defensive wounds. Like, and then did you see they released this? Or I guess at the end of December they released video of her police interrogation.
No.
Yeah, where they come back and tell her that he's dead because they took him to the hospital. and she didn't know if he died, and she's just like, "Oh my God, he's dead. He died." And it's like, you could tell she's trying to cry. And she asked
Right.
one of the detectives for a hug. It was like really weird, and everybody's killing it because it's like this is clearly someone trying to act like she's upset. Like
Right.
it's, and I'm not gonna, people do weird things when they hear bad news. So I don't, I'm not gonna pass a judgment, but it's really, um, those are the Alec Baldwin case and the Courtney Clenney case. I like to watch, it's what is it? Law and Order. Is it Law and
Yeah.
Order on YouTube? It's like something like that. It's like basically like the court channel where they follow like the big court hearings, like through the whole hearing. So those are the ones I'm looking forward to following because I'm just like I'm so curious about both of these. Because the thing with this case, the Courtney Clenney case, the guy was a big dude.
Yes.
He was a big dude. Um, I wonder, and there's no evidence, like there again, because he had pushed her in the past, because they had this obvious abusive back and forth thing going. Can a jury be swayed into believing that
That
she
he
was actually
abused her.
defending herself? Yeah.
Right.
Even though they know for a fact that she abused him, can they be convinced enough that he was abusive as well to not convict her? Um, so I'm really really curious to see to hear the testimony. The cross examination is going to of her if she testifies. Her cross examination will be wild, I'm sure. And I just want to see the defense case. Her defense attorneys, like what case they lay out to try to. They're going to play into the abused girlfriend angle because they're already trying to do that. But I gotta really see if there's other evidence that hasn't been released that makes it look like he was abusive. Like it's because as of this point, I'm not convinced that she was abused. So
I wonder if this is going to be like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. She'll be like in courtroom, be like, like doing drugs, like I used to beat me up.
I don't it's gonna I think it's gonna be pretty I think it's gonna be pretty wild. I think it's gonna be pretty wild. And his family's obviously super upset. Like, are they gonna have to be kept out of the courtroom? Like it's
Well, is
gonna be
she
it's
locked
gonna
up currently now, or does she make bail?
she's still
Or
in jail. No, they won't give her bond.
okay, well, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. That's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I mean, and it's a very weird discussion, but because people could take this the wrong way, but this goes a lot into, I very rarely go on TikTok, but I've seen for some reason they had a string in TikTok of videos of, and even Twitter of like dudes, like girls beating on dudes, and dudes just like, come on, you gotta stop, you gotta stop. Like even there was a kid in school that girl must have hit him like 5 or 6 times and like popped him hard, and at one point he just wound up hitting her. And
Hmm.
then another girl jumped in, hitting them. You can't hit a girl, blah blah blah. And then he wound up hitting her. But it's a at some point, like when's enough enough? I mean, like when is it actual defense? I've never hit my wife anything like that. But like, at what time is there a line that is crossed that at that point, yeah, I got to protect myself.
I think it's and that's the problem is the protect that word. What does that mean? Because it means different things to different people.
Right.
Especially when you talk about juries. And the question then becomes like, I think part of it is if this happened in a school or happened somewhere, somebody should have stepped in in case of these kids. Like obviously
Right.
somebody should have stepped in, especially before another person becomes involved. But like, did he have the opportunity to leave the
Right.
altercation? Right? Because if he had the opportunity to leave, but he chose to stay and get hit and then hit back, well then the argument could be made that he was looking for an excuse to hit. Like,
Right.
but and I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just telling you, like, and a good attorney, if she got a good attorney,
Right.
they would argue it that way, or the state would argue it that way if somebody decided to charge him. Like, so it a lot of times the protection, self defense, that kind of stuff, um, comes down to a matter of opportunity. Like, did you have the opportunity to leave the altercation and end it that way?
Right.
And if you did, why didn't you? Was it because your pride was too big that you didn't want to look soft so you stayed, giving yourself the ability to then say, well, I waited as long as I could before I retaliated. It's like, well, you didn't have to wait. You could have just left,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
because sounds like he was considerably bigger than her.
Yeah.
And I'm even if if there's the doorway and she's blocking the doorway, I'm pretty sure he probably could just moved her out of the way. But I
Yeah.
mean, would have been forceful. But then at that point, you can get out
Yeah.
unless she's a
Yeah.
track star and she's faster than he is. Like
Yeah. Now, when you add a weapon into something,
well, that's a
it's a
whole different
different,
ballgame.
right. It's a different, and that's different. Those are the different, ways to that kind of weigh in um, on whether or not it's self defense or if it was mutual assault, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's two very interesting cases. I am definitely going to be following closely. Just like I follow, we didn't. I don't think we've ever talked about this on the show, but um, and it's a couple months old now. But I followed that Milwaukee, the guy that drove through the crowd in Wisconsin. I think it was Milwaukee or right outside Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Um, oh wow, that was a wild case.
Is
It's
that
a
done?
wild case. It's not. Yeah, he got convicted on so many murder charges. It's ridiculous. He will
Was
never
that is
get
that
out
the
of
one that was
jail.
like 16 people or something? It was like crazy numbers.
Um, he might have hit 16 people. I want to
I
say
think it's maybe that's what it
eight,
was.
like eight died or something like that. But he hit some
Now,
kids and some old ladies, and
is that the one that went through the parade because he was
yeah,
going
it was
after
a
someone?
no, it was just a Christmas parade, and he had got into a fight with his ex girlfriend. Okay, and it got physical, and he is the very epitome of a sociopathic narcissist.
Okay.
He couldn't basically handle being rejected, so he needed someone to take it out on. And he kept saying, "Oh, he kept trying to argue that he doesn't have anger like that." But anytime the judge didn't give him his way, or anytime anybody brought up something that he didn't want them, and he would say, "I don't want you to talk about that," and it's like the prosecutors were like, "You don't tell us what to talk about," and he
Right.
would get. There was a point in time where he like slammed the desk or like the table he was sitting at because nobody would like do what he told them to do, and it's like you're on trial for murder. Nobody's going to do it. The judge had
Right.
to have him removed from the courtroom like repeatedly, almost every day. At one point, he had to be removed from the courtroom because he just wouldn't talk over people. He would just shout insane stuff. Um, he believed he was a sovereign citizen and he read all these law books and defended himself. And he didn't understand any of the law or the statutes.
Right.
So he would just make arguments that just made no sense. Like it was, but even though he didn't understand the law, and the judge kept saying, "I think you should get an attorney," and what you're arguing doesn't apply here, doesn't make sense. He would then basically say the judge is lying or I know what I'm doing. Like he was so egomaniacal. Like it was amusing. Like I laughed so much because he was so unhinged, but
Right.
it was wild to watch. I have a feeling, not Alec Baldwin, but this Courtney Clenney, like some of the stuff she's already done, again, shows us. I'm not going to say the same, but shows a high level of narcissism.
Oh yeah.
Same kind of anger, like for not getting her way. Like, half the time she attacked him was because he wouldn't find her phone for her, or he wouldn't, go to the store for her, stuff like that. So same kind of narcissism, same kind of anger, same kind of have to have my way. So I have a feeling now she doesn't believe she's a sovereign citizen and is going to defend herself. But I have a feeling that after the let me bat my eyes and be the pretty girl and I'm so innocent
Yeah.
and I'm so sorry. After that doesn't work, I think you're going to see her kind of lose it, which should be should get really interesting real fast.
Yeah, I might try to watch that if it's on TV.
It's Law and Crime. That's the YouTube channel. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and they usually even if you don't watch it live, they usually do at the end of the day they do a long
Like a
recap. So
recap. Yeah.
they'll have a bunch of different options where you can watch the replay of the entire day. You can watch just the highlights, or they'll even have the highlights split up into like 5 to 10 minute segments and stuff. So it's like I try to I follow that channel. Like I watch um, when they have something good, I watch their channel. Yeah, or a lot of times I'll leave it on in the background at work.
I gotta
If
watch
it's like
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, go back and watch I can't think of the guy's name. Darnell. I can't think of the guy's name.
I'll find
It
it.
was the Wisconsin parade guy though. Whew, insane. If you want to watch insanity like in real life, that case, everything the guy
S-
does is
So
absolutely
it
insane.
made really good reality TV, is what you're saying.
It really did. It really
Yeah,
did. Yeah, yeah,
I gotta check that out.
yeah, yeah. I would go back and watch that one. Yeah, because it's you'll be texting me all week like, I saw he did this today. I was like, yeah, man.
Now
It was
how
wild.
many I guess episodes of that were there?
There was he was on trial for I want to say for a while. 2 weeks. It was like a 2 week
Okay.
trial. Yeah. There was a ton of clips. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, think that we're good for tonight.
Yeah.
Three interesting topics. I think we have to do a follow-up video, especially on the other
Yeah, as
two
this unfolds.
cases of
Yeah,
where
as
they
this
land.
unfolds, we definitely should come back, circle back to this.
Do a part two.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, good evening from the Brilliant Heathanz podcast. Please subscribe, like, and follow us. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Go Birds.
Go Birds.